The autumn breeze, the crisp air, the quiet shift of what is there. To leave the water in the line is how the vessel will decline. Alchemists spoke of the dormition, the sleep of the stone. They knew that the great work cannot be kept at a rolling boil forever. There must be a season where the fire is intentionally withdrawn, the liquids are drained, and the vessel is allowed to go completely cold. The novice waits for the frost to force his hand. The master powers the system down while the sun is still high. If you do not know how to empty yourself, the winter will break you. Welcome back to the Simple Tapes. This is your friend Vinny. It is autumn here in the Rust Belt. The leaves are turning a lovely shade of maroon and yellow on the trees. But if you look closely, the shadows are getting longer. The light is changing. The active summer deployment is officially wrapping up. I'm standing by the side of the family bunker, looking at the outdoor water spigot and the 50 feet of heavy rubber garden hose that I've been using all season to water the plants. If I just walk away and go inside, leaving this system charged, this house is going to sustain catastrophic damage by January. Today, we are looking at winterization. We are talking about the strict mechanical discipline of officially ending a deployment and why leaving residual energy in the system will tear your foundation apart. Water is a chemical anomaly. Almost every substance in the universe shrinks and gets denser when it gets cold. Water is the exact opposite. When water freezes into ice, it violently expands by about 9%. If you leave water trapped inside a closed system like a copper pipe, an outdoor spigot, or the brass pump of a pressure washer, and the temperature drop below freezing, that 9% expansion becomes an unstoppable hydraulic force. It doesn't matter how thick the metal is. The ice will literally tear the brass and copper wide open. Winterization is the process of dealing with this reality before the weather turns. It is a calculated, pragmatic procedure where you shut off the supply valve from the inside, open the tap on the outside, and let every last drop of fluid drain out of the lines. You are intentionally creating an empty void so the frost has nothing to grab onto. In the field, when an active project, a relationship, or a busy season of your life comes to an end, you cannot just walk away and leave the water in the lines. If you do not perform the administrative work of officially shutting the system down, the residual stress and lingering attachments will freeze inside you, expanding until they crack your mental foundation. Every plumber in the Rust Belt makes a fortune in late January off of one specific, entirely preventable mistake. A homeowner finishes watering their lawn in August, early September. They turn the spigot off, but they are too distracted to physically unscrew the garden hose from the side of the house. They figure they will get to it later in the fall, like October or November. They think because the water is off, the system is safe. But a garden hose acts like a trap. It holds a column of water right up against the side of the brick. When the deep freeze eventually hits, The water in the hose turns to ice. The ice expands, creeping backward, pushing up into the brass spigot and traveling straight into the copper pipes inside the walls of the house. And the copper splits wide open. The homeowner doesn't know anything is wrong until the ice thaws in the spring. They turn the water back on, and thousands of gallons of water immediately flood the inside of the wall, destroying the drywall, the flooring, and the insulation. They ruin the house because they didn't take 30 seconds to disconnect the hose while the weather was still relatively warm. They survived the active work of the summer/early autumn, but they fail the shutdown. I spent years surviving the heavy deployments only to let the winter destroy me, so to speak. As an instructor, when a grueling semester finally ended, I would just go home and collapse, forgetting about my workflow until the next semester. I wouldn't archive my emails, I wouldn't organize my notes. I would leave all the browser tabs open and keep my notifications turned on. I thought that because I wasn't actively teaching, I was resting. But I had left the hose attached. The residual anxiety of the semester was still trapped inside the lines within. When the quiet winter of the break settled in, that lingering stress froze over. I couldn't relax. I was constantly on edge, waiting for a crisis that wasn't there. I was cracking my own foundation because I refused to do the boring, tedious work of powering down. I had to learn how to walk the perimeter. I had to learn how to manually close the valves, pack up the syllabus, organize and archive all my emails, etc., send the final grades, all that fun stuff. And this allowed me to explicitly tell my own brain, the season is over, drain the lines. A man who never officially powers down his machinery will eventually find he has nothing left to start up in the spring. So here's my challenge to you this week. Disconnect the hose. Identify one active campaign in your life that is ending or has already ended. A completed project, a finished semester, or a season of heavy output. This week, perform the winterization. Do not wait for the frost. Do not just walk away. Do the administrative work now. File the paperwork. Archive the email. Pack the gear into boxes and put it on the shelf. Make a deliberate physical action to close the loop. Shut the internal supply valve. Open the tap and let the residual energy drain out completely. Leave the vessel empty. Endurance is a clean line. Trust the shutdown. And hey, one small thing before you go. I unscrewed the brass fitting of the garden hose from the spigot. It took a little bit of force to break the seal, but it finally gave way. I coiled the heavy rubber tip and carried it to the garage. I then went to the basement and found the interior shutoff valve for that specific outdoor pipe. I turned the handle until it was tight. I went back outside into the autumn weather and opened the spigot one last time. A cup of trapped water trickled out into the concrete and it went completely dry. The cold isn't here yet, but the pipe is empty. Whenever the frost finally arrives, there will be absolutely nothing left inside to break. If you want the machine to survive the dark, you have to be willing to empty in the light. Till next week, this is your friend Vinny, Keep it ordinary, keep it simple.